given that the new story quest released in 1.5, Zhongli's No Mere Stone, is the first time that Genshin has released an Act 2 for a character, I had pretty high expectations. Act 1, Sal Flore, was definitely a fan favorite for its themes and how it dived deep into Liyue's history, so I was very interested to see how this new quest would follow up on that. And after playing through the story quest, I can definitely say that I enjoyed it, but at the same time, I felt like it was lacking in a few different areas. So, since I never actually made a video on Sal Flore, I figured now is a perfect opportunity to kill two birds with one stone and compare what made it better than No Mere Stone. Of course, there will be spoilers for both story quests if you have not played them yet. Also, this video represents my subjective opinion, so you might find yourself disagreeing with me on my various points, and that's okay. As any grade school English teacher will tell you, a hook is one of the most important aspects of any writing because it has the power to reel in the audience or drop the ball completely. One of the things I really appreciated about Sal Flore was how it wasted no time in getting into relevant storytelling. We immediately jump into the quest to see Zhongli discussing various points of Liyue's history with some historians. This provides characterization for Zhongli, showing that he is assertive in his beliefs, but in an unassuming way. This draws us in because as a story quest, we go into it wanting to learn more about the character that's being featured. This, in combination with the world building that results from learning about Rex Lapis's past, makes us interested in continuing the quest and learning much more. In comparison, No Mere Stone had a much weaker introduction. It pretty much starts off with us running around Liyue Harbor since we first talk to Catherine to initiate the quest, then get some details from Uncle Dai, then we go recruit Zhongli before finally returning to Uncle Dai. I get that the purpose of this was pure exposition for the rest of the quest's story, but the whole sequence ended up being rather forgettable when it didn't need to be. As seen in Sal Flore, you can make the exposition also be meaningful. But all Catherine says is that she has a quest for us to find people, and when we talk to Zhongli, he kind of just agrees to join us with no issue. When Uncle Dai talks up this mysterious rock expert and it leads to a competition, which wasn't really a competition since Kunjun didn't actually do anything, it feels like the quest will explore a friendly rivalry between the two, but then it doesn't follow up on that premise. Basically, I felt that this intro didn't do a particularly good job of making me interested in playing the rest of the quest, nor did it do anything special to set up the plot. So that relates pretty well to my next point, the use of foreshadowing. In general, foreshadowing is best executed when it lets us, the audience, easily come to our own conclusions, because it makes us feel immersed and like we are a part of the story. And an added benefit of this approach is that even if we don't immediately realize what is being hinted at, we can still look back on the clues and piece how it all comes together. A perfect example of this comes from the character of Wanyan. Right from the beginning, we are reminded that natives of Liyue refer to the Geo Archon as Rex Lapis, yet Wanyan calls him Morax. This is the first indication that she is against Morax as a divine figure. Then we later find out that she does not know basic things about archaeology despite claiming to be an archaeologist, that she has extensive knowledge of the god of salt Havria, and then she asks Zhongli to accept the possible truth even if it may harm Morax's image. These further hint that Wanyan is a devoted follower of Havria who wants to expose Morax without explicitly telling us. Then when it is revealed, it feels like a natural progression of the previously shown details. Even in the plot twist not related to any single character, the one where Havria was actually killed by her followers and not Morax, it feels right given how Zhongli reacted to the initial claims and how we walk into Havria's domain only to see people who have been turned into salt. So where my issue lies is in how the character of Kunjun had his foreshadowing done. Basically, when it was revealed that he was the good side of Azhdaha, my reaction was something like, oh, alright then. Because to me, it didn't feel like this was the next logical progression of his character. In other words, the hints didn't properly set up for the reveal, and I don't think I would have ever come to the right conclusion completely on my own. So the first indication that Kunjun is not just your average guy is the fact that he can see the history of rocks. However, there is never any indication that elemental beings, or whatever Azhdaha is, can do things like that. In fact, when Zhongli finds out about it, he doesn't have anything insightful to say at all. Another plot point is Kunjun's amnesia, which is explained to be because he awakened with very little power. I wouldn't call this the best explanation, but I can at least get behind it. However, it's not really made clear why he materialized as a separate entity to begin with. It makes sense why Azhdaha would have two conflicting sides, but it isn't really explained why they ended up separating when they've been a single being since forever. And the fact that the evil side of Azhdaha has no idea that a whole part of himself is missing seems a bit too convenient. It's interesting because you can see other points where the foreshadowing should be good, but it just falls short. For example, Kunjun seeks out Dragonfall for some reason, but it's been mined into obscurity since hundreds of years ago. This clearly implies that Kunjun's consciousness is from the past, but that also doesn't really tell us much about his character or his motivations. And the final piece of foreshadowing, which actually relates to Kunjun being Ajaha, the tombstone in front of the big tree, can be completely missed if you're an idiot like me who didn't think to read it. But even if you did read it, this is right before it's actually revealed, so it wouldn't really feel impactful to begin with. Overall, I felt that the twist of Kunjun being Ajaha was surprising, but not in a good way. It seems like they really wanted to push all these hints that were dropped throughout, but the hints did not feel well executed or meaningful. Personally, I would have much preferred things like if the tale of Ajaha was mentioned in the beginning with Zhongli as he reminisced over his old friend, or if the concept of erosion leading to split personalities was introduced early on. Maybe they could have even somehow shown that the evil side of Ajaha also has the power to read rocks to show some sort of concrete connection between the two. I think these could introduce relevant concepts without also giving away too much. It seems like a trend that the story quests in this game always tend to have some kind of emotional appeal, and both of the ones I've discussed today are no different. Towards the end of Sal Flore, I couldn't help but feel bad for Wanyan when she found out the truth of Havria's demise. It can be seen that she really does have good intentions at her core. She is a descendant of people who worshipped their benevolent god, and she feels that she is enacting her own justice by proving that Havria was underhandedly killed by Morax. Because she just happens to be misinformed and misguided, I felt bad for her when she learned the truth. Even though she seemed to be in denial, it can be hard to accept being wrong sometimes, especially when you believe in something so strongly. This is something I think a lot of people can relate to, which is why I sympathized with Wanyan and hoped that she can come to terms with the truth. The big emotional moment in No Mere Stone seems to be towards the end when the spirit of Ajaha leaves Kunjun. Even though he doesn't technically die, his disappearance effectively serves as a death within the plot. The most memorable character deaths in storytelling though are the ones that have profound impressions on other characters as well as the audience. The problem is that I feel the story did not do a good job of making me care about Kunjun. Right from the beginning, Kunjun is set up to be a suspicious character that we don't want to put our trust into. Even with this touching scene where he gives us these beautiful crystals as gifts of friendship, Zhongli immediately afterwards brings up the Dragonfall and Paimon questions if Kunjun is actually a bad guy. So because I never built up an attachment to Kunjun, it didn't really hit me very hard when he left. I think his mysteriousness could have been left more subtle as something to be ever present in the back of our minds, rather than at the forefront of his character. That would have made his overall arc much more emotionally appealing in my opinion. Although this video has pretty much been me trashing on No Mere Stone the whole time, I hope you didn't get the idea that I just absolutely hated this quest. I still thought it was fun, and having the Ajaha boss be introduced this way is infinitely more interesting than it just being there. I also liked the way the Lost Twin was addressed, and how the quest ended off leaving us with something to think about. It's just that I didn't feel as strongly about the writing in this story quest as I have for other ones. And that's okay, it's not like I expect each one to be my new favorite. I just hope that this isn't indicative of MiHoYo favoring making new acts for characters who already have story quests over giving them to characters who don't have them. I also don't think that just because a character already has a story quest which heavily features their personality, that future acts can't also do that too. But at the end of the day, writing will always be evaluated subjectively, so I'm curious to know how much you guys liked or disliked this quest. Leave a comment telling me what you think, and as always, thank you for watching.